You all welcome back to African Colonization TV and Biafran History. We are still in the issue concerning Sharia in Nigeria, the Sharia law, the Sharia problem, the Sharia crisis, and how everything is now going. And finally, things is now folding down. I would say it is folding down gradually because finally they are now going back to courts, to Supreme Court, to see what is inside this constitution, what is actually the thing they are using to rule Nigeria since all those years. So according to the heading, that says Nigeria at a crossroad, Supreme Court to rule on Sharia as US mount pressure on Tinubu over the removal of Sharia law in Nigerian constitution. So this issue of pressure, since all those years, all those while, since Rarimo came to Nigeria and find out what is really going on in Nigeria, it had been a big problem to the government, and it had been a big problem to the coal north because what they used to govern this country, all of them is about Sharia. Now they have started going back to the constitution to review what is in that constitution, to see the main thing that is in those constitution. And what they are now seeing is that almost everything that is there is written by Sharia. No two ways about it. Inside this video, you are going to see it and you are going to watch it by yourself. So don't skip any part of it. Try to watch it to the end for you to see everything and confirm it and the way everything is going. We are not giving you fake news, or we are not giving you a news that is not true. It is there in the internet, it is there in the book, and it is there in the TV, and everybody is seeing how everything is happening. So our news is authentic and it is happening the way it is happening, the way we are giving it. So that is it. In fact, our brother is going to explain to us a lot of things that is happening inside the constitution of Nigeria and the revealing of Sharia law in Nigerian constitution, because it is now in the issue of to reveal what is there, to find out the true thing that is there, for you to see that almost everything that they used to sentence Mazen Kano, it is not right. That almost all of them, it is used through Sharia. Just watch by yourself and you will see how everything is going in this country. So as you're about to watch, like, subscribe, and make sure you share it to go around. Let others see what is really going on in Nigeria.
As all eyes are on the 12 northern states that are practicing Sharia legal system and are also implementing blasphemy laws, and on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, following the decision or recommendation by the United States lawmakers to President Donald Trump for the abolition of Sharia legal system and blasphemy laws in Nigeria as part of the strategy to stop the killings going on in Nigeria, which the Americans said that it is linked to the Christian genocide in Nigeria and Christian persecution in Nigeria. A public interest suit is now before the Supreme Court, challenging the legality of the Sharia legal system in Nigeria as being practiced by the 12 northern states that are implementing the Sharia legal system. Now you are going to listen to the lawyer behind this development, and after you listen to him, then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. This is because it is at the center of ongoing discourse following the recommendation that was made by the US Congress that investigated Christian genocide and Christian persecution allegations in Nigeria, that was led by Congressman Riley Moore. So they have submitted their report, and one of the things they recommended that Trump must do is to lead the charge to compel the Nigerian government to repeal the Sharia and blasphemy laws in Nigeria. While Tinubu has maintained sealed lips, the matter is now at the Supreme Court. Watch.
of the legal dimensions, Nigeria has also been at the receiving end of the Trump style of diplomacy under this current U.S. government. And the recommendations that came through last week from the U.S. Congress, about how Nigerians should tackle, banditry and insurgency problem has received some pushback. Specifically, that bit about the scrapping of the Sharia. The Muslim sections of the country have said we have a right to, govern ourselves the way we are convinced we should. But I'd like you to put a legal interpretation to it within the context of a secular country.
Okay, first of all, I have to warn you that before the Supreme Court, especially on this matter, we're challenging the constitutionality of the Sharia criminal law in Nigeria. So I might skirt around some issues, not being able to delve into the core of some of this because it's before the Supreme Court. However, historically, we've always had Sharia law in what has now become Nigeria. You must remember that Nigeria essentially were two countries. We had northern Nigeria and we had southern Nigeria. It was fused together by the British for economic reasons, which they said the north was not viable, so they had fused this country together. The south, which had more economic power, would now power this union known as Nigeria. But to be able to come into this union known as Nigeria, the British wanted us to do away with some bad practices. You remember that there used to be killings of twins in southern Nigeria. This was abolished by the British because they said it was repugnant to natural justice. Also, in some cultures where a woman loses her husband and she's being forced to drink the water which was used to wash the corpse or shave her head, all these dehumanizing methods were outlawed by the British. And in the north as well, they told northern Nigeria that you are not going to be chopping off people's limbs, stoning people to death, flogging people for adultery, etc., or stopping people from exercising their rights. So this was the compromise when Nigeria was formed. And we did away with, the criminal aspects of Sharia law. The present-day Sharia law has been practiced in northern Nigeria, the 12 northern states, 12 states in the north, it was smuggled in through the back door. Number one, nobody saw the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria until the day Chief Olusegun Obasanjo was sworn in at Eagle Square. In fact, he said he never saw the copy of it. He didn't know anything. It was just sworn to protect what he had never seen or read. Nobody debated it. Because if it was thrown into public debate, we obviously wouldn't have what we have in the Constitution. What we have in the Constitution of Nigeria is Islamic personal law. That is what the Supreme Law says. The Constitution is the ground norm. That is what the Supreme Law says in Nigeria. And even with that, it has brought in confusion because there's no specific pronouncement on Islamic criminal law, the Sharia criminal law, which is the aspect that deals with regulation of, if someone commits adultery, someone steals, chop off his hand. What it talks about, what the Constitution talks about in personal law is, I'm a Muslim, I want to marry more than a wife, or two, or three. It regulates that, how your inheritance is disposed when you've passed away, personal, religious taxation, zakat, etc. That's what it talks about. And you can see where we are now. The constant denial by the government of Nigeria that there is no Christian genocide, etc. That is what has exacerbated what's on ground. And you saw it's been constant years of lobbying in DC, not less than 4 years.
That was the international human rights lawyer and 2023 United States Secretary of State's awardee on international religious freedom, Barrister Kola Olapini. Barrister Kola Alapini. That's the man you watched, and he gave you the fact that this matter, he's already defending it in the Supreme Court. It's already before the Supreme Court. That was why he didn't want to go into too much details, because it can be used against him at the Supreme Court if he says everything that he needs to say. So what is obvious now is that it is now a matter of public interest. It is now a matter of public interest. What is going on right now on the issue of whether the Sharia court should be allowed, whether the Sharia law should be allowed to continue in the present state, or it should be abolished as being recommended by the United States government. Barrister Kola Alapini also used the opportunity of that interview to give us a breakdown of how the state of the Sharia law was before 1999 Constitution. And he talked about the fact that right from the colonial time, the Sharia personal law had been there. And even at that there were some issues that were moderated by the British, like chopping of hand, that criminal aspect of it, chopping of hand, flogging people for adultery and all that those were not included in the Sharia law that was applicable at that time. That it was the Sharia law that was there was for on personal issues, marriage, divorce, transfer of inheritance and all that. But what we have now under the 1999 Constitution, where hands can be chopped off, where people can be stoned, and all the restrictions that come with the Sharia being practiced in 12 northern states. Now he said they were not there before. And what he said has also corroborated what Dr. Bitrus Pugu said about the implementation of Sharia law in northern Nigeria. Don't forget that Dr. Bitrus Pugu said that the reason why the Middle Belt Forum is backing the repeal of the Sharia law as it is today is because that was not the Sharia legal system that was in practice during the time of Sir Ahmadu Bello as the premier of Northern region. Now, there was some things that he said that Barrister Kola Alapini mentioned that is also interesting to note. He was alleging that the Sharia that we see in the Constitution today, 1999 Constitution today, was smuggled in. He said it was smuggled in, that it was not debated, that there was not a consensus on it. That's what he said. And he also revealed that even Obasanjo himself was frustrated that the Constitution they used to swearing him in, he never saw it, he had never seen it before. Okay? There were things there that and he never had time to read. He only saw the Constitution the first time when he was sworn in 1999. And you can understand also that Obasanjo himself was in prison. He was imprisoned by Sani Abacha administration, okay, over alleged coup and all that. So you can therefore understand that he was out of the picture. But even those who are not in prison, only very few Nigerians could claim that they saw the Constitution until Obasanjo was sworn in, because that Constitution was literally created to usher in the democracy that Obasanjo was to lead in 1999. So that's why, Lapini say the Sharia we are practicing now was smuggled in. I don't know how he's going to defend it in the Supreme Court, where he said the matter is already there, where they are challenging the legality of the implementation of Sharia law in 12 northern states in Nigeria. But let us also understand the situation. After the death of Sani Abacha as Nigerian head of state, Abdul Salami Abubakar emerged as the head of state of Nigeria. And Abdul Salami Abubakar, within a year and a few months, was what he spent, and he was eager to transition to civilian administration. So, in order to do that, he constituted a committee. They call it the Constitution Debate Coordinated Committee, CDCC. That committee was led by Justice Justice Nikki Toby was the chairman of that committee, while Dr. Suleiman Komo was the vice chairman. So that committee claimed that they conducted town hall meetings seeking the opinions of Nigerians, and based on what they recommended now formed the basis of the 1999 Constitution. But also don't forget that the 1999 Constitution was just like a photocopy of the 1979 Constitution, because that was literally what they did within the short time period. But the 1979 Constitution did not contain the Sharia legal system as we have it now in 1999 Constitution. So that was part of the things. Perhaps that was why this man Alapini is saying that it was smuggled in. Now, who smuggled it in? That is a debate. Is it? It cannot. Many people are saying that it can't possibly be Justice Nikki Toby. Okay, because what they are saying it can't be him is because the committee submitted their report, but and we are meant to understand they were not the one that actually wrote the Constitution. They submitted their report of what they were able to garner from Nigerian people. So who wrote it? Who are the people that sat down and wrote it? There's a debate over that. But what has been in public open sources indicated that the most powerful person at that time who could have influenced a lot of things was Professor Awalu Yadudu. Professor Awalu Yadudu, who was the legal expert that the military government relied on for advice. Therefore, he was very influential. In fact, there are people who are alleging that he was most of the things that was written in the Constitution, that he played a key role because he was the one that the military was listening to. Why was that so? Because Professor Awali Yadudu was he was the special advisor on legal matters to Sani Abacha. So when Sani Abacha died, Abdul Salami Abubakar retained him as the special advisor on legal matters. So you can see somebody who has the ear. You know, today they can appoint you to head any committee by Tinubu to do one or two things, gather one or two information. But there are people working in his government who are special, maybe the chief of staff is a member of that committee. You can bet that Tinubu will listen to the chief of staff has access more than you. They can make you chairman of any committee. If the chief of staff of the president, okay, is in that meeting, you can bet he will have more influence on the outcome. Okay, so by the position of Professor Awali Yadudu, a legal expert who was special advisor on legal matters to the military administration of Abacha and Abdul Salami Abubakar. So he is believed to have played a key role. Okay, so if there are people who are arguing that the Sharia legal system expanded from what it used to be in the 1999 Constitution, he is among those who is believed, is alleged that played a key role. But you can't blame him because he was an advisor to the military, and the military can direct him what they want to see in the Constitution. Abdul Salami Abubakar can direct on what he wants to see, and his own sympathies can also play a key role. But whatever may be the case, how managed that the Sharia legal system got expansion in the 1999 Constitution is now going to be debated in the Supreme Court, from what we are hearing from Barrister Kolo Alapini. So it's very interesting that at least Nigerians now know that this matter is before the Supreme Court. And we have to keep looking out for what will be the decision of the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court will now have the final say on what is going to be. If the Supreme Court verdict insists that there is nothing anybody can do, that the 1999 constitutional retention of Sharia law as it is today, Sharia legal system as it is today, expanding to criminal jurisprudence, then there is little anyone can do again except America to put pressure on Tinubu to use his executive power to see how he can influence the 12 northern states, which will be something interesting to watch. Okay, because whether you like it or not, the northern states that are practicing Sharia are insisting, at least the feelers we are getting, and from the Supreme Council for Sharia in Nigeria, is that they are not, that legal system is not going to be touched as far as they are concerned, that America has no right to trample with it or to ask them to repeal it. But if the Supreme Court of Nigeria say that the expansion of the Sharia legal system beyond what it was during the colonial time, beyond what it was in the 1979 Constitution, as it contained now in 1999 Constitution, that it ought not to be so. It therefore means that they will recommend that let it be restricted to personal laws. In other words, if that is to happen, it means that the 12 states that are practicing Sharia law that has expanded to criminal Sharia will now be forced to do away with it. But we'll see how that pans out. But from all indication, it's obvious now that this matter is before the Supreme Court of Nigeria. And we're going to see what the Supreme Court will say. Of course, we know that Supreme Court can give, or like I said, Supreme Court can give order and can rule, but the president can also be put pressure on by the United States to do something about it. Okay, don't forget, remember the Adamawa farmer, Jackson, who was sentenced to death by hanging, approved by the Supreme Court of Nigeria. What happened? Eventually, because of the pressure from America, that man is now free, has returned back to his family in Adamawa. So there is still a lot Tinubu is expected to do, depending on what the outcome will now be from the Supreme Court. I don't know what you think about the issue of the implementation of Sharia law in Nigeria, which Barrister Kola Alapini is telling us that they are challenging the implementation of it at the Supreme Court. Whatever is your position, let's hear from you at the comment section.
Um, this our brother. He has reviewed everything, and it's a very good analysis. So everybody have seen what is there in the constitution and how everything is now going. That the case is there in the Supreme Court. So very soon, everybody will see the outcome of what is really going on in Nigeria. And then, if you can see, that is the main reason why those northern people, those Muslims, they can do anything they want to do without anybody touching them or without anybody looking on what they are doing. And this issue of Sharia, the buying of people all over Nigeria, the taking over land, property, chasing away people from their villages, it is because of time have come for them to conquer the whole places, the whole zone in Nigeria. That is why they are doing all those things. So for somebody to now come up and tell you that it is not the constitution is not being governed or is not being ruled through constitution, it is lie. They are using their Sharia to rule the country and to govern the states all over. That is why you see governors, they don't have mouth, no matter whatever the Fulani men are doing in the states, because at the end, it is what you sign. And the main problem Nigeria is having is their constitution. Their constitution they are using, it is, in fact, it is against so many things. It is against so many things for you to grow, mostly to grow. It is against it. And in fact, it's a lot. It's a lot to say. And then we are hoping and we are expecting at least the US government, it will do the needful. And then after the revealing of the Sharia in the Supreme Court, according to what this our brother just said. So if they insist that the Sharia will continue the way it is today, then US Donald Trump at least will now do what he need to do so that let them be peace all over. Because the type of thing they use to govern Nigeria is just like they tie everybody on their feet, on their leg, without allowing people to walk. If you want to walk or if you want to speak about what is happening, they will not be looking you as a bad person. But going down to the issue of not seeing what is in the constitution before signing the document or before signing that constitution to be used, it is somehow the president then, Olusegun Obasanjo, he did not see, in fact, he did not see anything that is in that constitution. He just signed everything without seeing anything. He just signed the document. He just signed it to be in law, to be into Nigerian law, without seeing what is in that constitution, what is in the paper, or what is in the book. That is the main problem here. Yeah. And since then till now, they have been crying, let them go back to see what is there. Nobody have ever even shake body. The senators that used to be in the House of Rep, the governors, I don't know, is it that they just blindfold them or is it that they don't even have any power? And then they will be telling you that they are governing Nigeria or they are overseeing everything you are doing. So the only place they used to govern Nigeria, the only place they used to oversee what you are doing is when you talk or when you say what is right, or when you want to challenge them on the thing they are doing that is not right. It is when they will now rise up claiming that you are fighting the government. But in the other side, for them to do the right thing, for them to do the thing that this citizen need to benefit from, they will not do it. And they will be waiting for you to speak. In fact, it's very, very funny. Well, we hope for the betterment and we hope for the good. And then for those, if they insist that they will not change the thing, or if they insist that the Sharia, they will keep on with that Sharia of something, because if you can see what the co-North, the leaders and what they are saying is that they will never remove Sharia in the constitution. So if they're insisting on it, the best way is for them to go. The best way is for Nigeria to divide. And the best way is for every part to be on their own and practice what you know. Because you cannot come on and give me your law for me to abide with your own law. The law, I don't know what is there. And the law that is not favoring me. And you now tell me to abide with your own law, which is you are not going to even abide with my own law if I give you my own law. So all those things cannot work. Before it will work is when you too will abide with my own law. Then I too will abide with your own law. That is when it will work. But this type of issue of coming down and be telling everybody that you need to abide with so law that is not even favoring anybody. So all those things is what is causing problem. And those problem, it is what is causing this buying of people everywhere, every day in Nigeria. The way the terrorists is taking over, the way they are taking over. For how many years the terrorists has been killing people every day? Those Muslim people, they have not even come out to protest against the evil that is happening in the country. But for how many days now, they have been protesting on the streets. Reason, because of they see that and they want to scrap out those things that they are doing, those of their constitution they are using to pin people down. They want to remove them out. And they have seen that they have started it from Iran. Very soon it will get to Nigeria. Now they are now protesting against it so that it will not happen to them in Nigeria. It will happen. It is gradually. So what do you think about the youth in happening in Nigeria? Like, subscribe, and make sure you share it to go around. Let others see what is really going on in the country. Say thank you for watching.